Please excuse the shotgun approach to this video. I am having to do an entire pivot for a reason that'll become clear soon, and I'm going to end up making some people mad with this video and possibly hurting my future author career, but I ethically feel like I have to come forward with this information. Not too long ago, I was sent an email by a fan who had seen my ongoing coverage of a separate Audible issue that we're going to talk about here today, the implementation of their new royalty model. And in this email, they said, hey, I wasn't entirely aware of how these systems worked, and I think I've been accidentally stealing from potentially dozens of authors through hundreds of books with a return exploit I found. And I originally went, no way, there's absolutely not a chance that there is an additional return exploit within Audible that they would have not found when they fixed the last one that caused the original Audible gate. So I didn't even test it for the first couple of days after I was sent this email, but it kept bugging me, it kept itching at my brain, and so eventually I went through what the email showcased step by step how to do, and it worked repeatedly. Holy crap, there is another, in my opinion, potentially worse return exploit within the Amazon ecosystem, and you could essentially do it infinitely. Unlike the last one that's limited to using and returning one credit, this was far even harder to find for authors on their end because how it exists isn't exactly going to be clearly displayed in their financial reports. So I immediately was put into a position where I don't want to just come forward and tell everyone about this exploit because then, you know, oh my God, it could go from a small thing to a huge thing. But I also don't just want to let it exist because Lord knows how many people have been using it, and I've already seen that one person's claiming to use it around 200 times, and that's over a course of 9 years this has existed. So what do I do? Well, after talking to some people in the industry who obviously probably want their names kept out of this, so I'm not going to say who did what, I got in contact with Audible, sent them an early draft of my original video showcasing the exploit, and we eventually, after some back and forth through a middleman, agreed there'd be an 8-day wait before I came forward and said anything. That way they'd have times to just put in like a hot fix patch. That video was supposed to come out today, Thursday at 9 a.m., except about 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time yesterday, I received this email from Audible, and it is kind of perfectly designed, in my opinion, to make it so that I cannot put out this video, and it's trying to put the responsibility of anything that happens from this on my shoulders, saying, quote, "Hello, thank you so much for bringing this to our attention. We truly appreciate community members like you. We've looked into the issue you flagged, and it is a violation of our terms of service." Yes, the way it works is doing this is absolutely a violation of their terms of service, but apparently they're not catching someone doing it over a course of 9 years, hundreds of times. So Lord knows how many other people, are doing it nonstop hundreds of times. However, we want to assure you that this is an extremely rare occurrence. Okay, it's not like Audible's had a pattern of lying to myself and other people throughout our recent endeavors into what they've been doing. That said, we take any potential exploitation very seriously, no matter how small. Our teams are already working on addressing this specific issue and strengthening our systems to prevent similar loopholes in the future. Please continue to report any suspicious activity you come across. While we understand the importance of raising awareness about potential issues, we'd like to gently caution against widely publicizing the specific details of this exploit. Doing so could inadvertently encourage more people to attempt it, which would be detrimental to our creator community. So essentially, that 8 days we agreed upon, no. And we're going to vaguely say in the future that it will be fixed and we're working on it. Okay, I can agree to that. Sure, I will not put forward the specific details, but then how do I prove that I'm not just blowing smoke? Well, fortunately, Audible handed me that with this email. I now have an email from Audible that is confirming what I found does exist. There is an additional, in my opinion, harder to find, quieter return loophole that authors essentially have no way to specifically find. And I find that terrifying. Personally, I'm also a little bit frustrated that the day before my video was supposed to get live, I get an email that's signed Audible to not even anyone specific in the C-suite, the company itself, to vaguely warn me against giving out the details. But okay, fine. I'll just pivot to actually just saying here that I found another one. Seriously, even though they've been bragging with this implementation of a new royalty system about combing through all their data to be hyper-specific, and a few years ago they had to do a full audit on their system, I'm sure, to find any return exploits, this has just existed for almost a decade. And how that is the case, I have absolutely no idea. But now I want to specifically address, despite this allegedly being worked on to be fixed, I do believe that, but whether or not it's getting priority, I have no idea, why I need to come forward, because potentially millions of dollars could have been lost through this exploit, taken directly from authors or publishers. And if I just sat on it, well, then I'd look a hell of a lot like LTT when they didn't come forward about the honey scandal, right? This is going to come out eventually, in my opinion, that this exists. These things cannot just forever stay under the radar. And there are people now who know I'm aware of this information, and I sure as hell think it's 100% my responsibility to make sure that authors, publishers, readers even know there's just been quietly another hole in the system this entire time. Whether or not it has lost hundreds of thousands to millions, or maybe even just tens of thousands of dollars, I have no idea. But the bigger concern to me is that, once again, this company holds a majority of the audiobook market in their palm, and they have, from my just gentle prodding of their systems, not even a full audit, massive holes that were brought to me by just a John Doe online. And it's just crazy to me that these are the people who are essentially the new gatekeepers for a medium of consuming literature. It boggles my mind. I have heard the terms too big to fail time and time again in my life. It seems like Amazon's almost too big to be held accountable. That's how it honestly feels to me at this point. Because anyone else, if they were found to have holes in their system that resulted not only in Audible Gate 1, but now a second one here, would have everyone coming at their throat. But one thing that's been consistent since all of this started, since even I did my first Audible video on an entirely separate issue, which is the implementation of a royalty system, links to that here in this video, but even since I brought that, roughly 70 to 80% of the people who have come forward to giving me information have said, and please don't share my name, please don't share anything about this because I'm afraid that it'll hurt my career. And I'm not trying to say like Audible or Amazon will directly harm an author in the algorithm or something like that, but instead, not get a deal, right? Because the biggest deals you often can get in the audiobook space or even in publishing come through this company that now holds so much of the market. So everyone's afraid to speak up. And that's terrifying, right? What the hell? I've had so many big booktubers say I can't cover it because they're a sponsor. Publishers have absolutely zero teeth apparently and are willing to just let all this stuff slide. The reason these things grow and exist within the Amazon ecosystem, at least from talking to insiders, is because they can't talk. There is no communication across Kindle to Audible to KDP to ACX. They just exist as separate entities, and then they just shoot connections between them in any way that can seemingly develop, in my opinion, from what I've seen, greater profit from customers having all the greater convenience. And I am kind of at a loss now. I mean, this started, and the ongoing royalty thing is still a major problem. And please go check out the petition or the videos, my coverage of it, if you don't know what I'm talking about. But the cherry on top is now we've seen the biggest scandal they've had since they started as an audiobook company. Having a return exploit that directly cost authors was never truly fixed, and there was just a silent one under the surface that fans certainly know about, has existed for almost 10 years. One person's claiming to use of 200 times, and even if, let's just say, 0.5% of Audible customers have figured this out, how much money has been lost over 9 years? I want to know. I also don't like the fact that the day before my video is supposed to go live, they send me something that's like, well, we haven't actually fixed it like we told you would yet, and we're not going to give you an estimated date on when it will be fixed, and don't give out the details because that'd look so bad because this one's pretty bad. I'm at my wit's end. I don't know what to do anymore. I know I'm burning some bridges putting out this video. I hope no one's too mad at me because I just ethically don't feel comfortable sitting on this information just myself. I think for pretty obvious reasons from a consumer, author, and publisher perspective. I think the track record of something like this needs to be known publicly, and it's just a futile hope that maybe it'll make some people start to look a little bit harder at how Audible operates in this space. Obviously, I'm not going to share my original video in any way, shape, or form until I'm 100% sure that this exploit has been closed within their ecosystem. I do not want to harm any more authors. Though, if any publisher, author, booktuber, journalist of any kind would like to see it, contact me. I will have you sign something that lets you know you can't share it publicly in any way, shape, or form, but I'm happy to give it out that way. And on top of this, I just want to ask one more time, publishers, are you asleep at the wheel? Like, how much money are you making through Audible that you're okay with just turning all of the blind eyes? Or is it you might be losing money and you're so technologically illiterate you just don't care? How is it that I, probing their systems, doing this, found additional problems outside of this return exploit that was so simple, right? And I'm just me, someone just poking it from the outside. I understand if Audible's just being a bit sloppy, okay, but how are publishers who are letting Audible distribute well over a majority of their books, digital and audio, just not checking anything? How is this the state of the industry? I feel like I'm actually going insane. If anything else major develops, I will let you know, but as it is right now, I'm kind of gassed. I'm kind of just out of it, and I need some space and time to recover because this has been incredibly stressful, as you can imagine. Thank you. Like and subscribe. Check out other videos if you want to see our additional Audible coverage. Link down below. More soon.